Hi everybody. Welcome to a journey far away from the glowing comfort of electricity and soft beds, from warm meals made in minutes, and from the humming safety of modern walls. Tonight, we are traveling back, far back, to a time when everything you know could not save you. This is a story of survival, or the lack of it. It's a gentle whisper from the Stone Age, carried across 2.5 million years, meant for your ears tonight. Imagine waking up in a world with no cities, no maps, no coffee, no tools, but what your hands can shape from sticks or bones. The sun is your clock, and the night is your test of courage. This is the world you'd step into if somehow you were placed right in the middle of the Paleolithic era. Tonight, we'll explore why, charming as it sounds from afar, you wouldn't last a day in the Stone Age. The light is gray. It's morning, though it doesn't feel like the mornings you know. You open your eyes and you are lying in the cold soil of a grassland. It rained a few hours ago and your back is soaked. You sit up startled and suddenly you realize the silence. There are no engines, no footsteps, no voices, just the low sound of wind and the rhythmic creaking of distant trees. You shiver. The first instinct, quite naturally, is to reach for your phone. You pat your pockets. Nothing. No wallet, no phone, no keys, no signal towers, no grocery stores, and far, far worse, no shoes. You're barefoot. The terrain is not your friend. Jagged little rocks lie hidden beneath every tuft of grass. Sharp twigs jab at your heels, and the ground feels like it's never known comfort. In a moment, your feet go from numb with cold to aching with every careful step. Already, the modern body is breaking. As you rise and look around, you spot no buildings, just the horizon, gently rolling with hills. No power lines, no people, just a few far-off birds circling lazily in the air. There's a strange clarity here, air so clean it almost hurts. You draw a breath, deep and crisp, and for a moment there's beauty. But then it hits you. You are alone and hungry. It's been less than 20 minutes and already your stomach whines. You're used to breakfast you don't think twice about. Eggs, toast, oatmeal, lattes, even cereal. But here there is no such thing. No crops, no cows, just the wild. You look for food. Maybe there are berries, maybe a squirrel. You wander, and after a few painful steps, you find a low bush with tiny glossy fruit, dark purple, glistening with dew. They look promising, but you freeze. Are they poisonous? You have no app to check, no way to search safe berries to eat in the Stone Age. You realize in this moment that knowledge so readily available in your world is nowhere to be found here. So you do what the body tells you. You wait, you hesitate, you starve. You begin to move again, your bare feet bleeding slightly now. Just tiny cuts. But even tiny cuts can mean disaster, infection, disease. And here there are no antibiotics, no band-aids, no soap. Your sense of direction fails quickly. You don't know north or south. The sun is rising, but you don't know how to read it. There is no compass in your mind, only confusion. And that's when you hear it, the rustling. It's subtle at first, a gentle brushing sound in the underbrush. Maybe the wind? You turn slowly, squinting. A shape moves behind a thick bush, something four-legged and low to the ground. You stop breathing. Whatever it is, it has already noticed you. You are standing in a predator's territory. You, with your soft skin and your helpless hands, your heartbeat roars in your ears. You begin to walk backward, quietly, trying not to step on another sharp stick, though the pain in your heel is distracting. The creature does not emerge. But it doesn't leave either. This is not the zoo. You are not the dominant species here. You are meat. Hours pass. You stumble upon a small creek. The water is fast and clean. At least you think it's clean. You kneel and drink, deeply, grateful for something familiar. But your stomach, so used to filtered, pasteurized, safe beverages, churns slightly. And you wonder, how long before something in that water begins to work against you? You remember the last time you had diarrhea. It was annoying, sure, but manageable. You had toilet paper, a clean restroom, Gatorade. But here, if you get sick now, there's no coming back. You find yourself shaking, not from fear, but from cold. Your clothes, thin and damp from morning dew, cling to your body. There is no fleece, no jacket, and the sun, though present, gives no warmth. It simply watches, pale and indifferent. You sit and wait. You remember the survival shows you've watched, the documentaries, the primitive tool YouTubers carving spears out of sticks. You try. You pick up a branch. It's wet. It breaks. You find a rock. You try smashing it against another. It chips in a way that's useless. Your hands grow raw, your fingers tremble with fatigue, and then as the light begins to fade, you face the most primal fear, night. Without fire, you've never truly known darkness. Even in power outages, there's been some light. A phone screen, a flashlight, a neighbor's porch lamp. But here, darkness comes like a tide, thick, swallowing, absolute, and with it comes sound. The calls of distant predators, the click and chirp of unseen insects, the occasional terrifying crack of twigs. Underfoot, nearby, you curl up into yourself, arms around knees, and try to make your body small. You haven't eaten, you haven't slept, you haven't bathed, rested, or healed, and it has been just one day. Your body begins to shiver violently, an involuntary shaking that feels like your frame is rejecting the cold. You don't know what time it is, but it doesn't matter. There is no clock, only survival. The Stone Age doesn't care about your schedule. It doesn't care about your job, your degree, your TikTok, or your favorite streaming show. It wants only one thing from you: adaptation, and fast. As the wind picks up and your eyes blur with tears from cold and exhaustion, you understand, truly understand, just how far removed we are from our ancestors. Their reality was a constant balance between life and death. Yours has always been cushioned. But tonight, on this long, endless night, that cushion is gone, and it's just you and the dark. When the first signs of dawn begin to spread across the sky, they don't bring comfort. They don't chase away the fear that clung to you through the night like a second skin. Instead, the dim light casts eerie shadows through the branches, and everything feels older, more distant, as if you've stepped even deeper into a forgotten world. Your limbs are stiff. Your muscles ache in ways you've never felt before, not the ache of exercise, but of survival, of cold, of stillness held too long by fear. Your back hurts from the hard earth, your neck sore from trying to keep one ear open to the sounds of danger that never fully stopped. At some point during the night, you think you heard breathing. Close, too close. Now you're alive, but barely. You try to stand. Your legs tremble beneath you, unsteady. You feel dizzy. You haven't eaten in over 24 hours. Your body, so used to regular meals, caffeine boosts, protein bars, and smoothies, is slowing down. There's no energy left. You're running on primal instinct now, that quiet, ancient urge to move, to keep moving, because if you don't, you'll die. And that thought becomes louder with every passing moment. You need food. Your eyes scan the trees. Still no fruit, no sign of anything edible. You don't know which leaves are safe, and your body is too weak to risk a mistake. Every choice out here has consequences, and there's no margin for error. This isn't a camping trip. There are no second chances. But water? You remember the stream. It's not far. You begin to walk slowly. Each step is more cautious than the last. You know now that this landscape is not your friend. A twisted ankle here isn't an inconvenience. It's a death sentence. You have no splints, no medicine, no help. If you fall, you stay falling. The forest is alive. Birds call overhead, strange, warbling cries you've never heard. A large shadow shifts in the trees, and you freeze. Your heart races again, too fast, too soon. Your nerves never had a chance to rest. You feel like a tightrope walker wobbling above a pit, except the rope is fraying and the pit has teeth. The stream is there, finally, glimmering, trickling, beautiful in its simplicity. You drink again. It helps. The cold water feels like a small mercy, a kindness. And even though you know the risks, you drink more. You splash some on your face, let it soak your hands. A tiny part of you is rebelling, whispering that this could be enough, that maybe you'll be okay. But the deeper part of you, the part that's starting to listen to the land, knows that water is only a start. You need food and shelter, fire, tools. You've watched videos. You've seen people rub sticks together, create sparks, pull gently on dry moss until a flame is born. You try. You gather 2 sticks, one dry, one slightly curved. You try spinning, pressing, twisting. Your hands slide. Your palms burn. You have no calluses, no tolerance. Blisters form quickly. Your shoulders scream from strain. After 15 minutes, there is nothing but frustration. Smoke? Or maybe you imagined it. You toss the sticks in anger and regret it instantly. Energy is precious, and anger burns more than calories. It dulls your senses. You sit again, breathing hard. The sun is higher now, but it offers little warmth. You think of fire, not as heat, but as light, protection. Insects are everywhere, crawling across your skin, landing in your hair. There is no repellent, no net. You swat them away, but more come. The buzzing becomes a background hum of misery. Then you hear it again. Movement, not wind, not a bird, something heavier, steady. You turn slowly. Your breath catches a figure. It stands a short distance away. Not animal, human, but not like you. They're smaller. Their skin is dark, weathered, hair tied back with strips of fiber, eyes sharp, suspicious. They're holding something, an axe-like tool made from a sharpened stone lashed to a stick. Simple, but elegant. Effective. Your heart leaps. Another person. Help. You raise your hand. A small wave. Hi, you whisper. Hello. They don't understand. Of course they don't. Language hasn't evolved yet to bridge your worlds. They tilt their heads slightly, curious, cautious. You lower your hand slowly. You don't want to frighten them, but you also don't want to appear weak. You are weak. But you can't let them see that. They step closer, and then stop. Another appears, and another. A small group, 5 of them now, none speak. They just watch, calculating. You are not one of them, you are not of their world, and they can smell it. The way your body lacks the rhythm of the wild, the way you stare at everything like it's foreign. You are foreign. You kneel, try to look harmless. You lower your head, not quite in submission, but in recognition. You are not a threat. They speak, words that feel like music and rhythm and warning all at once. You don't understand, but the tone is not hostile. You point to your mouth, then to the forest. You try miming hunger. You hope they understand. One of them watches closely. The oldest, perhaps. Their eyes flick to your blistered palms, your bloody feet, your shaking limbs. They gesture, come. You stand slowly. Every movement is deliberate. You follow. They walk like they belong to this world. Bare feet silent against twigs and stones. Bodies lean but strong. Clothes made of hide, rough and thick, strapped with sinew. They carry nothing they don't need, and everything they carry, they made themselves. After some time, how long you don't know, you arrive at a clearing. A low structure, made from branches and leaves, leans against a rocky outcrop. Inside, warmth, smoke, fire, real fire. It dances gently in a pit of stone. The smoke coils upward through a gap in the roof. Around it, more people, children, elders, all stop to look at you. This is not your home, but for now you are not alone. You sit near the fire and it wraps you in its embrace. You don't speak. There's no need. You watch, you listen, you learn. And slowly the edge of your fear begins to dull. But your place here is far from secure. The fire is mesmerizing. It crackles gently, its orange tongues dancing in rhythms too ancient to decipher. You sit near it, but not too close. The people around it, these Stone Age survivors, eye you now and then, saying nothing. Occasionally, a child peeks from behind their mother, their gaze wide and curious. The flickering shadows cast by the flames make everything look like a dream, like a painting in motion, or a memory from someone else's life. But this is real, every second of it. One of the elders, his face a weathered map of time, leans forward. In his hand is a small piece of roasted meat skewered on a sharpened stick. He extends it toward you. His gesture is calm, without fanfare, almost indifferent. But to you, it is salvation. You reach for it with trembling hands. The meat is warm, greasy, fragrant in a way you didn't expect. You take a cautious bite. It's tough, slightly gamey, but delicious. You chew slowly, savoring each fiber, each hint of salt from the sweat that still lingers in the cooked flesh. You do not ask what animal it came from. You don't care. Hunger has stripped away the luxury of preference. Around the fire, others eat too. No one speaks much. There is no chatter like at your dinner table back home. No screams, no ambient music. Just the sound of chewing, occasional murmurs, and the constant low song of the fire. It feels like you've stumbled upon a sacred rhythm, the heartbeat of a people who never left the wild. You feel warmth begin to seep back into your bones, a fragile contentment replacing the raw panic that had gripped you all night. But this comfort is shallow, fleeting, a kind of illusion. Because now, the real truth settles in. You don't belong here, not really. Every action, every movement reminds you. These people handle their tools with ease. They grip stones and bone implements like extensions of their own bodies. They tend to the fire with practiced hands. One of the women sits cross-legged, using a sharp sliver of flint to strip bark from a thick root. Another is shaping clay into a simple bowl, pressing and pinching with a calm you envy. They are not surviving. They are living. And you are barely functioning. After the meal, the elder who gave you the meat gestures for you to follow. You rise, joints sore, feet still raw, and walk behind him. He leads you a short distance into the trees, away from the shelter and its fire. He stops near a flat patch of ground, then turns to face you. He speaks. You don't understand the words, but the tone is unmistakable. Expectation, instruction. He squats down and begins drawing shapes in the dirt with a stick, circles, arrows. Then he pantomimes, moving his arms, pointing toward the trees, toward the rocks, mimicking gathering. It's clear, you're to contribute. No one gets a free meal in this world. You nod, trying to look confident. Inside, your mind races. What can you possibly offer? You don't know what's edible, what's dangerous, what's useful. You don't even know where to start. But you can't say no. You are given a basket, woven from reeds, rough and beautiful. He hands it to you, then points into the forest. Go. You hesitate, then step forward, clutching the basket like it's the only thing tying you to this fragile acceptance. The forest is denser here. Shadows shift between the trees, and the underbrush is thick. Every step is uncertain. Your ears pick up every sound, each rustle, every bird call, the snapping of a twig under your own clumsy weight. You search for anything that looks familiar. Berries, roots, herbs, anything that might resemble food or medicine. But you know nothing. Still, you try. You pick leaves that look healthy, small fruits, a few mushrooms, although you're not sure if that's a mistake. Every item is a guess, a roll of the dice. You fill the basket slowly, moving further from the camp, drawn by the glint of sunlight on dew and the quiet hum of life around you. Then you hear it, a low growl. You freeze. It's behind you. Not close, but not far either. The kind of distance that can vanish in a heartbeat. You turn slowly. It's a cat. Not like the ones curled up on couches in your world. This one is lean, with tawny fur and eyes that don't blink. It's not huge, maybe the size of a dog, but it radiates menace, hunger. Its body is coiled, ready. You back away, step by careful step. Your heart thunders. You clutch the basket to your chest as if it might protect you. The cat takes a step forward, muscles rippling beneath its fur. You remember vaguely that predators respond to weakness. Don't run. Don't look small. Don't. You trip. A root catches your foot and you fall backward hard, the basket spilling. Your hands instinctively scramble for something, anything, and find a stick. Not sharp, not strong, but it's all you have. You raise it. The cat stops, head tilting slightly. Then just as suddenly it turns, slips into the brush, vanished. You don't move for a long time. When you finally rise, your knees are shaking. You gather what you can from the ground, ignoring the dirt, the broken leaves. You limp back to camp, each step haunted by the echo of that growl. When you return, the elder examines your basket. He picks through it, discards most. A few leaves, a pair of berries, a root he seems to approve of. It's not much, but he doesn't scowl. He doesn't shun you. Instead, he hands you a small piece of hide and a smooth round stone. He motions to a flat surface near the fire. He points again to the root. Grind. You understand. As night falls again, you sit by the fire, slowly mashing the root into paste. Your muscles still ache, your hands are still clumsy, but they're learning, little by little. You glance at the others. One of the women is carving something, bone maybe, a spear tip. A child is using a shard of stone to scrape fur from a pelt. Everyone has a role, even you. You realize then that survival isn't about brute strength. It isn't even about knowledge, not at first. It's about humility, to learn, to observe, to adapt. And only now, at the very edge of everything you thought you knew, does that lesson begin to take root. The fire, once foreign, has begun to feel like a silent companion. It flickers beside you now, warm and alive, as the sky fades once more into that deep, endless blue-black of Stone Age night. You are not warm exactly, but you are not shivering either. Your body has adjusted slightly, perhaps, or maybe it's the firelight tricking you into feeling safe. Your hands move with more purpose tonight. You grind the root in smooth rhythmic circles, the stone pressing into the fiber with each motion. The paste clings to the surface like thick clay. It smells earthy, pungent. You don't know what it will become or how it will be used. But for the first time, you're part of the process. Not an observer, not a burden. A quiet voice murmurs beside you. You look up. One of the women, perhaps in her late 20s, though it's hard to tell, has knelt beside you. Her face is painted lightly with ashen ochre, a subtle pattern over her cheeks and brow. Her hair is braided with strips of animal sinew, decorated with small feathers and beads of bone. She gestures toward the paste you're making, then toward a woven container. She speaks again, slowly, carefully. You understand none of it, but you nod. She smiles, a faint flickering thing, and places her hand gently over yours, guiding your movement, softer, slower. Then she returns to her place, near the children. You sit still for a moment, caught by the ghost of that smile. It wasn't approval exactly, but it wasn't rejection. It was recognition, acknowledgement. You had not expected that. The elder watches too. His face remains unreadable, but he doesn't turn away. That is enough. As the night deepens, a rhythm settles over the camp. People prepare for rest. The fire is fed carefully, not wastefully. Every branch is placed with thought. You notice how nothing is ever done mindlessly here. Not a single movement is wasted. Even the way they lie down on hides nestled close is efficient, intentional. There are no words before bed, no rituals you recognize, just quiet. Sleep descends like a tide, gentle and inevitable. You try to follow, but your body resists. You lie curled beneath a rough hide someone handed you earlier. It smells like animal fat and smoke, but it's warm. That's what matters. Your eyes close, your muscles begin to unravel, but your mind refuses. It races. You think of home, of the gentle hum of the refrigerator, the soft weight of your mattress, the faint glow of streetlights beyond the curtain, the way your pillow cradled your head just right, the muted buzz of your phone on the nightstand, even when you swore you wouldn't check it. You remember the comfort of invisibility, how in your world you could disappear. You didn't need to contribute every second. You didn't need to earn your right to stay. Here, invisibility is death. You breathe in deeply. The air smells of ash and animal and earth. Your body relaxes slightly, and eventually, somehow, you sleep. Dawn comes with sound, a soft chorus of birds, distant and strange, a rustle of movement as others stir, the crackle of a fire being coaxed back to life. Someone is singing faintly, just a rising hum, wordless, more vibration than melody. You rise slowly, your joints protest, but less than yesterday. You're adjusting in small ways. The sun filters through the trees in golden shafts, illuminating motes of dust and smoke. You feel it on your skin. Not warmth exactly, but invitation. The woman from last night approaches again. This time, she holds out a small pouch, made of hide, tied with twine. She unties it and reveals a handful of pale, dry seeds. She motions for you to take some. You do. She chews hers slowly, nodding for you to do the same. They are bitter, dry, but not unpleasant. You chew, and her eyes study you for a moment longer before she walks away. Breakfast, perhaps, or medicine. You can't tell, but you accept it. Today, the camp begins to move. The elder speaks, gesturing. Others begin gathering their belongings. You see them roll hides, bind tools, sling bundles across their backs. Children are lifted gently onto hips. The fire is not extinguished, but carefully captured. Embers wrapped in damp moss and stored in hollowed bark, still warm, still breathing. Fire must not be lost. They are nomadic, of course. They must follow the herds, the seasons, the water, and you are going with them. You don't ask if you can stay. There's no space for questions like that here. You either move or you're left behind. It is that simple. You are handed a bundle, lighter than theirs, but meaningful. It contains dried meat, a tool of some kind, and a sling of animal hide. You nod in thanks, unsure of the protocol, but the elder's eyes flick briefly to you, and you sense that you've passed the test, even if just barely. The journey begins. It's quiet, but not silent. The group moves like a single organism, flowing through the trees with careful steps. Children do not complain. Elders do not stumble. Everyone watches the path ahead and the brush around them. Even the youngest understand that every movement matters. You walk near the back, watching, learning. The woman with the pouch is nearby. At one point, she gestures for you to adjust your gait, your step too heavy, too loud. You mimic hers, softer, quieter. It helps. The forest responds differently now. Birds do not flee. The air seems calmer. You begin to see the world through their eyes. A broken twig, a sign, a smear of fur on bark, a message. Dung on the trail, fresh. A herd passed through recently. The forest is not chaotic. It is layered with meaning. You had simply never learned the language. Hours pass. The sun climbs. Hunger gnaws. But no one stops to snack. They move with purpose, not desperation. You begin to wonder where you are headed, if this is routine or necessity. You realize too that you are adapting, not well, but better than before. And then in the late afternoon, the group halts. Before you is a clearing, a low ridge, and below it, in a shallow valley, water, a stream, and near it, signs of game, tracks, scents. You watch as the hunters begin to separate. Weapons are unwrapped. Boughs of sinew and wood, spears tipped with flint, nets woven from plant fiber. Each person knows their role, except you. You remain at the edge, basket in hand, waiting, watching. One of the young hunters approaches. He hands you something, a small pouch of damp earth and crushed plant matter. He points to the wind. Cover yourself. Scent masking. You obey. The hunt begins. Silent, coordinated, and you stand still. Invisible, if only for a moment. You stand on the edge of the clearing, your hands smeared with the pungent paste of crushed herbs and damp soil. The smell is sharp, unfamiliar, but it coats your skin and hides the scent of your foreignness. At least, that is the hope. You rub it across your arms, your neck, even your face, until you look less like yourself and more like something shaped by the earth itself. The hunters move ahead, slipping through the tall grasses like whispers. You've never seen people move like this. Not even dancers. They are utterly silent, every step a lesson in restraint, in knowing where to place your weight, how to shift without disturbing the world around you. Even the children, a few older ones included in the flanking movements, know how to walk like ghosts. You stay still. You've been told nothing, but you understand enough. This is not your space to lead or to improvise. It is your space to watch. The forest holds its breath. Bird calls have quieted. The air feels thick, almost heavy. You crouch low, hiding yourself in the long brush. It scratches your legs, your arms, but you stay unmoving. One wrong sound could ruin everything. Even your breath feels too loud. Then, movement. A rustle not far off. You peer through the brush. A group of deer, perhaps 6 or 7, graze near the stream. Their ears twitch. They move cautiously, but they don't know the hunters are near. Not yet. Your pulse quickens. Not from fear this time, but anticipation. You are witnessing something ancient. The hunt begins not with chaos, but with choreography. 2 hunters emerge from the trees to the left, slowly pushing forward. Not too close, just enough to influence. The deer don't panic. They shift, inching away from the threat. The group is being steered, guided subtly by invisible pressure. Then from the right, more hunters rise. Not all at once, just enough to gently nudge the deer's path. Like fencing sheep with invisible walls. You realize they are guiding them into a funnel, toward the ridge, toward a trap. And then it happens. A cry, sharp and sudden, rips through the trees. The lead hunter throws his spear. The deer bolt, but not in panic, in calculation. They leap, turn, follow instinct and memory, but their path is already shaped. The funnel closes. Nets snap up from hidden posts, guided by hands you hadn't even seen. Spears fly, arrows whistle through the air. You wince at the sounds. Thuds, cries, the guttural noise of pain and panic, but you don't look away. This is survival. When the dust settles, 2 deer lie still. Another struggles, kicking, eyes wild. A hunter approaches and with practiced precision ends it. Not cruelly, not carelessly, but quickly. The forest accepts the silence again. You rise slowly. No one cheers, no one celebrates. There is only a quiet reverence. A few words are spoken, soft and rhythmic, perhaps a prayer. Thanks, maybe. Gratitude to the animal or the spirits of the forest. You can't know, but you feel it. The weight of it. You approach cautiously. The woman who gave you the seeds earlier catches your eye. She nods once. You are welcome to witness, but still a student. The carcasses are not wasted. Not a single piece. Skinning begins immediately, swift and fluid. The hides are peeled back with stone knives that glide with surprising ease. The meat is carved with care, separated into portions for drying, for smoking, for immediate cooking. Bones are set aside, organs too. Even the hooves have purpose. Everything will be used. You are handed a task, a leg already stripped of fur. You are given a bone knife, sharp, smooth. The hunter gestures, showing you how to slice cleanly along the muscle, not across. You follow, clumsy but focused. The meat is tougher than you imagined. The knife catches at times, your fingers cramp, but you do not stop. Sweat beads on your forehead. The sun is hot now, baking the clearing. Insects buzz around the blood. You swat them away, but they return quickly. Still you work. Hours pass. By the time the group begins to move again, the deer are packed in pieces, bundled in hide, hung from wooden frames. Blood stains the earth, but even that will feed something. Scavengers, insects, the roots of the trees. You realize, watching them prepare to move, that you have eaten your entire life without ever seeing this, without understanding what life had to be taken, how much effort was required. The convenience of the supermarket, the plastic wrapped steaks, the labels and packaging, all of it now seems like a magic trick designed to keep you from knowing the truth. This is the truth. Meat requires death. Food requires effort. Survival requires blood. And still, no one here is grim or broken by it. There is peace in it, respect, and even a kind of grace. As the group continues its journey, you walk among them, carrying a portion of meat on a wooden pole across your shoulders. Your muscles protest. The pole digs into your back, but you do not drop it. Your presence has shifted. You are no longer a stranger, not quite a member either, but something in between. You share in the work, you share in the burden, and now you've shared in the kill. That night, the camp is built again in a new place, beside the stream, but further down. The ground here is soft. The air smells of pine. The fire is lit quickly from the embers carried in bark. Sparks rise like stars into the deepening dusk. You are invited to sit closer this time. A strip of deer meat roasted on a spit is passed to you. You eat without hesitation. The children listen as one of the hunters speaks. His voice rises and falls like waves. It's a story, perhaps, a retelling of the hunt, maybe even of older hunts, ones from seasons before. You don't understand the words, but you understand the eyes of the listeners. Wide, respectful, hungry not for food, but for memory, for meaning. You lie down that night without being told. The hide beneath you feels less foreign. The stars above seem brighter than ever. And for the first time since arriving in this world, you fall asleep not with fear, but with purpose. The dreams that come that night are unlike any you've had before. They are not stories in the way modern dreams feel, disjointed narratives stitched together by emotion and memory. These dreams feel elemental, raw. You see fire, smoke, trees swaying in wind, the eyes of animals glowing in the dark, faces of people who don't speak but who know you, and hands, so many hands, passing stones, sharpening tools, wrapping sinew around wooden shafts. When you wake, the sky is still dark. The stars are slowly fading into a soft pre-dawn blue, and the fire has been reduced to faintly glowing embers. The camp sleeps. You can hear breathing, soft rustles. A child murmurs in sleep. The wind whispers through the branches like it's telling secrets. And for a moment, you are still. Not in fear, not in exhaustion, but in peace. Your body aches, your shoulders, your feet, your lower back. Every muscle reminds you of the miles walked, the meat carried, the crouched hours beside the stream. But there is also a new sensation, strength. Not the kind you recognize, not gym strength or stamina gained from hours of running. This is different, denser, quieter. It comes from necessity, from doing what must be done. The sky brightens, pale threads of light unraveling across the tree line. One by one, the others rise. There is no alarm, no voice calling them. Their bodies simply know, as if synced to the rhythm of the earth itself. You rise too. No one gives you orders, but everyone begins moving. Some retrieve tools, others tend to the fire, feeding it back to life with thin twigs and dry moss. The children fetch water from the stream in hollowed gourds. You watch them, tiny, sure-footed, purposeful. None whine, none linger. Even play is laced with utility. The elder appears. He approaches you with two long sticks bound together with hide cord and gestures toward the trees. You understand, a trap. You are going to learn. He leads you into the forest, the air thick with the sense of damp leaves and soil. The silence between you is not awkward. It feels natural, like words would only clutter what matters. You watch his hands as he stops by a clearing. He kneels. You do too. From a leather pouch, he draws thin strips of sinew, small sharpened stones, and a few bent sticks. With careful hands, he begins to build a snare, simple, elegant, triggered by pressure. It would catch a rabbit, maybe a ground bird, not large game, but enough to feed someone, maybe two. He doesn't explain with words. He shows you. Every motion is slow, deliberate. He builds one, then pulls it apart, then nods to you, your turn. You fumble at first. The knot slips. The tension's wrong. The stick breaks in the wrong place, but you try again and again. He watches without judgment. On the fourth attempt, your snare holds. He tests it, nods once, approval. You smile, though you try to hide it. You move to another tree, and he shows you how to set a second, then another. Soon, the two of you are walking through the brush, checking old traps, resetting, building new ones. At one point, he stops beside a bush, plucks a berry, sniffs it, squints at the leaves, then picks another and places it into your palm. You hesitate. He takes a bite of his own, waits. You do the same. It's tart, sharp, but not unpleasant. He nods again. Another kind of lesson. This world doesn't offer you answers. It doesn't label what's safe and what's not. There are no signs, no tutorials, only observation, experience, trust built in silence. As the sun climbs higher, you and the elder return to camp. One of your snares has caught a rabbit. The animal is limp, small, its fur damp with morning dew. You feel a flicker of discomfort, then remember the deer. You remember the prayer, the respect. You carry the rabbit. You've never taken a life before. Not like this. Back at camp, one of the women takes it from you. She doesn't smile, but she says something quietly, a word short and firm. Maybe it means good or first, or maybe just rabbit, but the tone is gentle. You sit again by the fire. Meat from the hunt is being dried on racks. You watch as strips are turned, rotated, pressed flat between stones to quicken the process. Smoke curls upward in slow tendrils, keeping flies at bay. You are handed a scraping tool, bone, thin and sharp, and given a small hide. You begin the slow work of cleaning it. Scrape, pull, fold, scrape again. The rhythm settles into you. You don't think about time anymore. There are no hours to measure, just tasks, cycles, hunger, fullness, light, darkness. You begin to sense weather not from forecasts, but from the weight of the clouds, the shape of the wind. By afternoon, the elder gathers a group again. This time the destination is stone, a small ridge of exposed rock, just a short walk from camp. Here, you watch as the others gather pieces, certain shapes, certain textures. Not every stone is useful, only those with the right fracture lines, the right feel. They strike one against another with practiced grace. Sparks fly, shards scatter, and from these shards tools emerge. You try your hand. Your first stone crumbles, the second flakes poorly. But on the third, something clicks. A sliver breaks off cleanly, sharp, curved. The elder lifts it, inspects it, then hands it back. You keep it. It is your first tool. You've never owned anything this way before. Not like this. Not something made entirely by your own hands under someone else's eyes, for a purpose older than civilization itself. By evening, the group shares a meal again. Dried meat, roasted root, boiled leaves. You sit closer this time without needing invitation. One of the children leans against your side. You do not move. The stars return, high and clear. You lie down beneath them with your scraping tool beside you. The hide blanket feels less foreign, the smoke less harsh. You've learned to build, to hunt, to scrape, to shape stone. And though your muscles still ache, and though your mind still longs quietly, secretly for a warm bed and familiar voices, something else has begun to take root. A kind of belonging, not yet whole, but beginning. The morning begins not with sound, but with a sense of movement, a shift in the air, a ripple through the camp as one by one, bodies stir from sleep and begin their quiet rituals. You awaken in this hush, your breath visible in the chilled air. The hide covering your body is damp with dew, and the ground beneath you has left a map of pressure against your skin. But you feel rested, not fully, but enough. The fire has been tended before you even opened your eyes. Already, someone has rekindled its heart, feeding it thin twigs, coaxing it back to life. The coals glow beneath fresh flames, and the scent of smoke curls around you like a thread. You sit up slowly, the stiffness in your shoulders reminding you of yesterday's tasks, traps, tools, scraping hides. Every ache is a memory now. The others are rising too. Children stretch, yawning wide-mouthed, their faces streaked with ash. The elders move with slow precision, not because they are weak, but because they waste nothing, not effort, not motion. The adults begin to prepare, for what you don't know yet. But the tension is there, a current moving through the morning. You are handed a gourd of water. It is cool and earthy. You drink it gratefully, nodding to the woman who passed it to you. She does not smile, but there is recognition in her eyes. You are no longer a stranger, still different, still learning, but accepted, if cautiously. Then the elder speaks. His voice cuts through the quiet. It is not loud, but it carries weight. Others look up, listen. He gestures toward the eastern trees, then toward the sky. His tone is clear, serious. A journey is beginning today, longer than the ones before. You see it in the way they begin to pack. Not just bundles of food, but tools, hides, cords. Everything portable is being bound and prepared. You do the same. Your bundle is modest, Your scraping tool, a piece of dried meat, a strip of hide wound into a sling. It feels light. In your other life, it would seem laughably small. But here, every item matters. Every piece has purpose. They begin to move. This time, the pace is slower but more determined. The children are quieter. The hunters stay close. There is a weight to the movement, a tension that hadn't been there the day before. You don't ask questions. You've learned better. You simply follow. The forest opens to a wider trail, an ancient path carved by game and time. The trees thin slightly, and the canopy lets in soft morning light. You walk beside a young man, his arms painted in streaks of ash and ochre. He does not speak, but his presence feels calm. He moves with assurance, glancing occasionally to the sides of the trail, listening. Everyone listens here. It's something you've only recently begun to notice. How constant the listening is. To wind, to birds, to the creak of branches. Your ears have become attuned to layers you never knew existed. You catch the distant rhythm of woodpeckers, the low croak of frogs in hidden water. Once, a sharp whistle echoes through the trees, and the entire group halts. Not a word is spoken, but every body is still. Eyes scan, hands touch stone knives, then nothing. After a moment, the elder gestures. They continue. It's late morning when the terrain begins to change. The trees grow thinner, shorter. The ground becomes rocky, uneven. Ahead, a rise of earth, a hill or ridge, dotted with stone and low shrubs. The group pauses at the base. The elder climbs alone, slowly, his steps sure despite age. You wait. He reaches the top, surveys the land, then descends. And the migration resumes, up the ridge, one by one. At the crest, you see it. Below, nestled in the bowl of the land, lies a hidden valley. A stream cuts through it, shining in the midday sun. Beyond it, a copse of trees is dense and shadowed. But what draws your eye first is the stone. Large slabs rise from the earth like teeth, massive, flat, ancient. And beneath one of them, at its base, a shelter. A natural overhang, deep and dry, half enclosed by stacked stone. Smoke stains rise above it, black smudges against pale gray. This is not the first time it has been used. This is a place of return. You descend in silence with the others. When you reach the valley floor, the air is cooler. The stream babbles, birds flit through the tall grass, and you realize how protected this place is. Hidden, fortified by nature, it is a sanctuary. Immediately, the group begins to rebuild, not from scratch, but from memory. The framework of previous shelters is still here. Posts driven into the earth, stones arranged into rings, dried grass bundles stored in crevices. Everything is reused, repaired, repurposed. You are handed tasks without question. Gather kindling, lay fresh bedding, restack the fire ring. You move without instruction, watching those around you, mimicking their actions. Your hands find their rhythm again. Pull, twist, stack, tie. There is no idle time. By afternoon, the shelter is whole again. A new fire crackles, smoke curling upward into the blue. The dried meat is hung, water collected. You sit for a moment, wiping sweat from your brow, watching as one of the hunters returns with a handful of eggs, small, speckled, gathered from a nest you didn't see. They will be roasted tonight, laid carefully in the coals, turned with sticks until the shells blacken. You watch this too. The day begins to settle into evening. The shadows lengthen. The valley turns golden. You feel the sun on your skin and realize how far you've come. Not in miles, though there have been many, but in understanding, in presence, in quiet belonging. That night after the meal, eggs, meat, boiled roots, the group gathers near the large stone slab. A woman, perhaps older than anyone else you've seen here, steps forward. Her face is lined like bark, her hair long and braided with feathers and shells. She begins to hum, low at first, then stronger, a deep, throaty sound that resonates in the stone. Others join. It is not a song you know. It is not a language you understand, but it is not for understanding. It is for remembering. You sit among them as the song rises and falls, eyes closed, firelight flickering across their faces. This is not a performance. It is memory made sound. It is history spoken through breath and bone. And for the first time, you don't feel like you're watching. You feel like you're remembering too. The night after the song is unusually quiet. The valley lies beneath a sheet of starlight, so vast and heavy with constellations that you can almost feel the weight of the universe pressing gently down. The fire has burned low, now only embers, glowing like forgotten memories at the edge of sleep. Around you, the others are already resting. Their forms lie curled beneath hides, their breathing soft, rhythmic. But you remain awake, not out of fear anymore, but wonder. The song still echoes faintly in your chest, like the last ripples of a stone dropped into deep water. You don't know the words, but the melody remains, a thread you can't let go of. You wonder how many times it has been sung, how many generations have knelt beneath that same stone slab, breathing that same melody into the air. You lie back, arms folded beneath your head, and stare at the sky. The stars look different somehow, sharper, closer. You can see them without the veil of artificial light that once shielded you. Their colors shimmer, some cold blue, others soft gold, others still a flickering red. You try to find familiar patterns, the constellations you learned as a child, but they evade you. Maybe it's the angle of the world, or maybe the modern names never truly captured what the stars meant to the ones who came before. Eventually, sleep finds you again, and this time, your dreams are filled with stone and firelight, with songs that have no words and the feeling of earth beneath bare feet. You awaken to a strange sound, a low, rhythmic thumping, far off in the valley. It pulses like a drumbeat, but organic, dull, distant. You sit up, blinking against the dawn. The sky is still tinged with pink. Mist curls across the grass in delicate tendrils. The others are already moving, not frantically, but with purpose. You follow their eyes toward the sound, and there, just at the edge of the stream, you see them. Mammoths, 2 of them. Massive, slow, deliberate. Their shaggy bodies glisten with morning dew, steam rising from their thick fur in the chill. Their tusks sweep the air like ancient, graceful blades. They move with a patience that defies the chaos of the world. Behind them, a smaller one, a calf, follows closely. You stand in silence with the others. No one moves. No one speaks. It's not fear. It's reverence. You feel it immediately, the way the air shifts, how every breath seems sacred. You are in the presence of something immense, not just in size, but in meaning. These animals are not just game. They are legends, spirits in flesh. The mammoths do not linger. They drink from the stream, then turn, their great feet leaving wide impressions in the soft earth. You hear the gentle creak of their joints, the exhale of ancient lungs, and then they are gone, slipping into the trees like ghosts. Only then does anyone move. The elder exhales audibly. A young boy beside you stares wide-eyed, whispering something under his breath. A prayer, maybe, or simply awe. You ask no questions. There are no questions to ask. Later that morning, the story is told again, not just the one you witnessed, but others. Around the fire, the elder speaks, gesturing with his hands. He mimics the tusks, the great swinging limbs. He crouches to show size, stands to show reach. Others add to the story, short phrases, sounds, laughter. It's not a single tale, it's a chorus. Shared memory. You understand little, but you feel the shape of it. The way they honor the animal, not just as food, but as myth. A creature of the old world, still walking, still breathing. In the afternoon, you are sent to gather wood. Not alone. You walk with 2 others, a man with a long scar across his chest and a girl no older than 10. She carries a sling of flint blades over her shoulder, light and balanced. The man walks ahead, always scanning the path. You learn quickly. Gathering wood is not simply picking up sticks. Some are too wet, some too brittle. Others are perfect, deadfall that snaps clean, bark intact. You learn the difference by touch, by sound. The girl tests each branch against her thigh, nods or discards. She speaks softly, once or twice, pointing out fungus, warning you with a glance. You feel like an apprentice, not to one person, but to the land. When the bundle is full, tied with vine and hoisted over your back, you return. Sweat trickles down your spine. Your hands are scratched, but the bundle is well chosen. The elder nods again. That night, the fire burns brighter. A celebration, though subdued. You sense the mood has shifted. Something about the mammoths, their appearance. Maybe it's a good omen. Maybe it means the seasons are turning. Maybe it's simply a reminder that the ancient still walks with them. You sit near the old woman, the one who sang. She glances at you, then points to the sky. You follow her finger. There, low on the horizon, is a new moon, a thin crescent, sharp as a knife. She says a word. You repeat it quietly. She smiles, a full smile this time. Your first spoken word in their language. Small, incomplete, but it feels like a beginning. You don't know what it means yet. Maybe moon, maybe now. Maybe something entirely different, but it's yours. Given, taught, received. And that night, as you curl once more beneath your hide, you whisper the word to yourself, not to remember it, but to feel it, like a thread binding you to this place, to these people, to the quiet, sacred rhythm of the Stone Age. The wind shifts in the night. It comes from the north now, cooler, drier, with a sharpness that slices through the valley like a blade of air. You feel it on your skin even before your eyes open. It slides beneath your hide blanket, curling around your ankles, pressing into your chest. You pull the covering tighter, but you already know change is coming. When you wake, the fire is struggling. It flickers and bursts, its smoke rising sideways instead of up. One of the hunters crouches beside it, frowning slightly, shielding the flame with his hands. He adds bark slowly, feeding the coals as if coaxing life from an old wound. The others stir more slowly today. No song, no conversation. Even the children are quiet. You don't know why yet, but you feel it in the stillness, that something is different. You sit near the fire, rubbing your hands together for warmth. The sky above is pale, washed out, the color of bone. Clouds move low, flat and gray, stretched like wool across the horizon. Birds call in brief, clipped notes. The trees rustle without rhythm. The elder walks through the camp with a measured pace, his eyes scanning the valley rim. He doesn't speak, but his body does. Shoulders tense, fingers clenched, a readiness. Breakfast is minimal, scraps of dried meat, a handful of roasted roots. The usual generosity is gone. Not hoarding, just caution, preparation. As if every mouthful now has weight, you eat in silence. Later, the elder gathers a group, hunters, younger men, the girl with the flint sling, and you. He speaks in slow phrases, drawing lines in the dirt with a stick. His voice is low, steady. You don't know the words, but the meaning becomes clear through repetition, through gesture. He's mapping something, a patrol, not a hunt, a path to walk, to check the edges of the valley, to read the land. Something has shifted, and they want to know what. You set off by mid-morning, 6 of you. You carry a staff now, a sturdy branch shaved smooth, topped with a blunt stone tied by leather strips. It's not a weapon, not really, more of a walking stick, but it feels good in your hand, solid, balanced. The forest beyond the ridge is quieter than usual. The path is soft beneath your feet, carpeted in old leaves and fallen needles. The air smells different, less of smoke, more of something metallic. A sharpness, like the scent of flint before it strikes. You notice new signs, claw marks, deep in bark, droppings, still warm, scatters of disturbed soil where something dug. The hunters stop often, examining, pointing, whispering. One of them picks up a tuft of hair caught on a bush, dark, coarse. Not deer, not rabbit, something heavier, a predator. You move slowly now. Every footstep feels deliberate. You've learned how to move quieter, but still, your breath seems too loud in your ears. The forest closes in around you. The trees are taller here, clustered like sentinels. The light is thinner, green tinted, like a world seen through glass. Then you hear it, a distant growl, low, long. You freeze. The hunters raise their weapons, not spears, but stone-tipped clubs and thick branches sharpened to points. The young girl beside you doesn't tremble. She crouches, steady, her sling ready, a stone already nestled in the pouch. The growl comes again, closer, then silence. One of the hunters gestures, and the group fans out, forming a rough arc. You're told with a glance to stay back. You obey. Minutes pass. The wind picks up. Leaves flutter to the ground. And then it reveals itself. A feline larger than any you've seen before. Its fur is tawny, matted in places. Its shoulders ripple with muscle. Its eyes bright with hunger. A saber-toothed cat, or something like it. Not a monster, just a creature in its own world. But terrifying nonetheless. It doesn't charge. It watches. The hunters don't move either. A standoff. You feel your breath held in your throat. Time stretches. Then the elder, who had moved ahead without you noticing, emerges from behind a tree. He carries nothing in his hands. His arms are open, fingers spread. He speaks, slow, deep, a tone of authority, not shouting, not fear. Something in the cat shifts. It blinks, its ears twitch. Then, with a whip of its tail, it turns, slowly, deliberately, and melts back into the trees. Gone. No one speaks for several moments. Then the hunters lower their weapons. The girl exhales. You finally breathe. The elder walks past, not looking at anyone, and gestures again. Home. Back in the valley, the mood is different. More cautious, less ease. The story is told in fragments. You hear it pass from mouth to mouth, words mixed with motion. The size of the cat, the nearness, the way it stared. No panic, But respect. These animals are not hunted, not without cause. They are rivals in the food chain, not prey. The fire is kept higher tonight. More wood is added. The ring expanded. Children sleep closer to their parents. You're placed on the inner side near the elder's shelter, a gesture of protection or expectation. You fall asleep with the image of the cat in your mind, its eyes, its stillness, its silence. Not everything that hunts makes noise. Not everything that kills needs to be seen. The fire is still burning when you wake. It shouldn't be. By this time in the gentle arc between night and dawn, the flames would usually be no more than embers. But not this morning. Today, someone kept watch. And not just anyone, the elder himself. He sits by the fire, shoulders hunched beneath a heavy fur, eyes focused on the horizon. He does not look tired. He looks alert. You shift quietly beneath your hide, but he hears you. His gaze flickers towards you and lingers, then returns to the trees. He does not speak, but the message is clear. Today will not be like yesterday. The others begin to stir. One by one, the rhythm of morning resumes, but it's subdued. There is no song, no play. Tools are checked, spears retied. Even the smallest children watch with wide, silent eyes. The memory of the predator hangs in the air like smoke, no longer visible but impossible to ignore. You are called. The woman who first handed you the seeds approaches and gestures for you to follow. She leads you beyond the main fire pit, past the stone slab, toward a smaller space behind a cluster of boulders. There, nestled between the rocks, is something new, something sacred, a bundle, wrapped in hide, tied with sinew, laid upon a bed of dry leaves. Beside it, an array of objects, a carved bone pendant, a shallow bowl of ash, a smooth black stone. She kneels, you do the same. She unties the bundle carefully, reverently. Inside, feathers, strips of fur, tiny bones arranged in delicate rows, fragments of shells. It is a bundle of offerings or protection or memory, maybe all three. Her hands move with practiced grace, selecting pieces, rearranging them. She dips a finger into the ash, smears a thin line across your forehead, then across her own. Then she speaks a word. You recognize it. It's the same word she gave you when you saw the new moon. She points upward. You follow her gaze. The sky is overcast. The sun is only a bright spot behind thin clouds. But high above, birds are circling, dark specks moving with slow precision, as if sketching patterns only they can understand. She repeats the word, and then she says another. You mimic it. She nods, approves. You have learned two words. Maybe they mean moon and bird, or maybe not. Maybe they are deeper than that. Older. You help her rewrap the bundle. She presses your hand once, briefly, then rises. You return to camp in silence. The hunters are preparing again. Today, you will not stay behind. You are handed a short spear, not one made for throwing, but for thrusting. A close-range tool. It's lighter than you expected, and the point, though sharp, is worn. You suspect it was made for training, or for someone still proving themselves. Still, you carry it with care. The group sets off toward the western ridge. This time, you walk among the middle ranks. Not at the rear, not in front. A sign of trust, perhaps, or a test. The journey takes hours. The trees thin and break into rocky ground. The air is drier here, the sky wider. You pass through a glade where charred stumps jut from the earth like blackened teeth. A fire passed through here long ago, but the land is recovering. New shoots poke through ash. Saplings bend with the breeze. You follow a narrow trail up the ridge, placing your feet where others place theirs. Each step is deliberate, quiet. At the top, the hunters crouch and wait. Below, in a shallow basin, moves a herd. Deer, nearly a dozen. They graze near a trickling stream, ears twitching, tails flicking. They are unaware, for now. The elder studies the scene. Then he begins to speak in low tones, pointing. The others nod. A plan takes shape. You are part of it. Not central, not essential, but included. You are to flank left with two others. Drive the herd subtly toward a trap line set earlier that morning. It's not about chasing. It's about influence. Quiet pressure. Guiding. Shaping the path of life without it knowing. You move. Down the ridge into the brush. The ground is soft. Your spear is awkward in your hand, but you grip it firmly. Sweat beads on your neck. Every shadow feels alive. When you reach position, you crouch. The others signal. You rise slowly, arms spread slightly, moving in rhythm with the others. The deer notice. Heads lift, ears turn, you pause, then move again, just enough to urge them forward. They bolt, but not in chaos. They move as a group, away from the pressure, into the narrow path between two stone outcrops, exactly as planned. The moment is sharp, breathless. You follow. You hear the sudden cries, the whistle of thrown spears, the heavy thud of impact. One deer falls, another stumbles. The rest scatter. It's done in seconds. You arrive late. Your part is small but important. You help secure the fallen animal. It is still alive, its breath coming fast, eyes wide with fear. The elder kneels beside it and speaks softly, then draws a stone blade across its throat with swift mercy. The blood flows onto the soil. No one celebrates. They begin the work. You do too. This time, no one shows you what to do. You know. The skinning, the cutting, the separation of organ, muscle, bone. Your hands are steadier now. You no longer flinch at the warmth of blood or the pull of sinew. You see the animal not just as food, but as a cycle, a gift. By the time you return to the valley, the sky is shifting again. Clouds deepen, the wind grows colder, storm is coming, but so is warmth. The fire is waiting. You help lay the meat in the drying racks. You share in the smoke. You drink water from the stream and feel it slide into your aching body like a song. And that night, when the rain begins, soft at first, then steady, you sit beneath the overhang of the stone slab, wrapped in fur, and watch it fall. Not as an outsider, but as part of the rhythm. The rain falls through the night like a slow lullaby. It doesn't come with thunder or lightning, just a steady rhythm, soft as breath, endless as time. It drums gently on the stone above, a liquid heartbeat, echoing in the quiet spaces between dreams. You lie on your side beneath the overhang, wrapped tightly in your hide, and watch the droplets slide down the edge of the rock. They shimmer in the firelight like tiny stars being pulled back to earth. Sleep finds you in fragments, short, shallow moments, waking and sleeping blur. Each time you stir, the world looks the same. The fire still flickers low, coals pulsing red in the damp. A figure always sits close, sometimes the elder, sometimes one of the younger hunters, keeping watch through the rain. It seems no one sleeps all the way through, not when the forest is wet, not when the smoke clings too low, not when the scent of blood from yesterday's hunt still lingers near the drying racks. When morning comes, the world is hushed, muted. The valley is cloaked in mist. Everything is soft, shapes, sounds, footsteps. Even the birds call differently. Less urgency, more caution. The fire is rebuilt with effort. Wet wood smokes heavily. Hides are pulled tighter, water shaken from shoulders. The meat that had been drying is moved beneath coverings, some of it already smoked, some not. Preservation is survival now. Spoiled meat has lost time, lost strength. You are cold, not the biting cold of snow, but the damp kind, the kind that settles in your bones, soaks your clothes, sticks to your skin like a second layer. You move stiffly, your fingers numb as you tie cords, carry bundles, collect dry moss for kindling. Even your breath feels slower. The elder says little, but he watches everything. His gaze lingers longer today, on the sky, on the trees, on the people. There's an unspoken awareness in the camp. The season is shifting. Summer's edge has broken, and what lies ahead is longer, harder, quieter. The others move differently now, less of the fluid rhythm you've grown used to, more calculation, each action deliberate, each task heavier with meaning. It's not fear, it's preparation. You are pulled into it without question. By midday, you are in the forest again, this time with 3 others, including the girl with the sling and a quiet man with a crooked nose. Your task is not hunting, it's gathering. Not food, but stone. The tools of yesterday will not last the cold. They know this. You're led deep into the woods beyond the old fire grove, into a part of the forest where the trees grow taller and older, where the ground dips into gullies and moss-covered boulders rise like forgotten giants. You reach a clearing where water trickles over a slope of shale. The girl gestures, points, you kneel. Among the damp earth and smooth stones are fragments, flint, quartzite, chert. Not large pieces, but usable, sharp-edged. Your fingers find them by feel now, not by sight. You test their edges against your thumb, not hard enough to cut, just enough to know. You spend hours there in silence. Each stone you choose is a possibility, each one a tool, a blade, a scraper, a spear tip. You begin to see them not as rocks, but as decisions. Some will become fire starters, others will be used to skin animals, some will break before they are shaped, but each is needed. By the time you return to camp, your pouch is heavy, your back aches, but you feel proud. You offer the stones to the woman who first gave you your scraping tool. She examines them, picks 3, hands you one back, a long sliver of flint, dark and clean. She does not speak, but she traces her finger across its edge, then across your palm. It is yours now. Another tool, another mark. The rain returns in the afternoon, gentler this time. Children gather beneath the stone overhang, drawing in the dirt with sticks, mimicking the gestures of the adults. One draws a circle, then places a small rock in its center. Another arranges twigs like a fire, then topples them with a puff of breath. Play, perhaps, or mimicry, but layered with intent. Even the games here teach survival. That night, as dusk falls in soft layers, the elder speaks again, not in warning, in story. You sit close, and though the words elude you, the structure is familiar now. The slow build, the repetition, the moments where the others laugh or nod or fall silent. It's a story of a great bird, one that flew without ever landing, whose feathers became stars and whose song could stop the river's flow. You don't understand the details, but the meaning finds you anyway. It's about endurance, about beauty and hardship, about what lasts. The fire crackles, the wind whispers. You clutch your flint shard in your palm and feel its cold assurance. You are not strong, not yet, but you are enduring. You are learning what it means to last. The days blur. Rain comes and goes. The sun breaks through in fleeting moments. Shafts of light piercing the clouds like gifts, quickly taken back. The valley darkens earlier now. Evenings stretch longer. Shadows arrive sooner. You begin to sense the rhythm of decline, not of decay, but of transition. Summer is leaving, quietly, like a visitor who slips away before dawn. The leaves have begun to dull, green softening to ochre and bronze. The air smells richer, deeper, like soil and smoke. The insects are fewer now. The birds fly higher, faster, often vanishing entirely by midday. Everywhere you look, the people are preparing. Roots are dug from deep places, scraped, boiled, dried. Nuts are cracked, sorted, stored. The fire is kept burning longer with greater care. Hides are stretched tighter over racks, scraped with more urgency. Meat is smoked in larger bundles, layered with herbs you still do not know the names of. You are given more responsibility, not because you've asked, but because you've stopped needing to be watched. This morning you are tasked with gathering from the west slope. Not far, just beyond the stone overhang, where the wild onion grows and small burrowing animals leave behind useful holes. You go with the quiet man again, the one with the crooked nose. He speaks rarely, but never seems cold, just observant. You've learned to admire him. He moves without hesitation, always finding the easiest path, the driest stones, the softest ground. He carries 2 woven baskets, one on his back, the other over his arm. You carry one. Together you walk in silence through the forest, your footsteps now nearly as quiet as his. The slope is damp from last night's rain. The earth gives beneath your heels, but the scent of green things is strong here. You kneel beside a patch of low shrubs, and the man shows you how to dig gently with a stick, twisting as you pull to avoid breaking the roots. He plucks one from the ground, white and narrow, then passes it to you. You taste it, sharp, pungent, but clean. You dig for hours. Not just onions, there are other roots here, darker ones with thick skins and bitter smells. Some are for medicine, others for flavor. The man tests each one with his tongue or nose, then nods or tosses them aside. You copy him slowly, carefully. At midday, you rest. You sit on a rock that overlooks the valley below. From here, you can see the thin stream winding between trees, the smudge of smoke rising from camp, and beyond that, the wide hills stretching toward a horizon you will never reach. He sits beside you, pulls a small pouch from beneath his cloak. Inside, berries, dried, dark blue and wrinkled. He offers them to you. You take 2, chew slowly, sweet, sour, almost wine-like. He nods, pleased. Then he speaks. Not a story, not a command, but your name. You hadn't known you had one here, but you recognize it instantly. It sounds nothing like what you once answered to, but it fits. It feels like stone, like fire, like cold water. You repeat it. He smiles, barely, but it's enough. The name stays with you all the way home. That night you sit near the inner fire. Not the central blaze where the elder and hunter speak, but the smaller ring where the women work, scraping hides, threading fibers, shaping tools from horn and bone. The rhythm here is different, precise, intricate, sacred in its own way. You are given sinew and a bone needle. The woman with the ochre-painted face gestures to a hide, half-tanned, damp but clean. She motions for you to cut, to stitch, to shape. You fumble, of course. The needle slips, the thread twists, but you watch her hands, you mimic. By now, you've learned how to learn. When your stitches finally hold, she touches your wrist briefly, a mark of approval. She takes the needle and finishes the seam herself, fast, fluid, final. You realize then that everything here is passed down this way, not through lectures, but through hands, through action, through the quiet watching of firelight on skin. Later, near the main fire, the elder tells a story, a new one. It begins with a storm, winds that tore down trees and flooded rivers. He gestures wildly, mimicking the howl of wind, the crash of water. The children are rapt. Even the older hunters chuckle. He speaks of a lone man, caught in the storm, who climbed a great tree to survive. He stayed there for 9 nights and 9 days, and when he came down, he spoke the language of birds. You know the story is impossible, but also it isn't. Not here. Not when the wind outside mimics the elder's voice. Not when the fire crackles at just the right moment. Not when the others nod in solemn recognition, as if they too have heard birds speak. You sit back. Your hands are raw, your legs ache, but your eyes are wide open. And in your lap rests your flint blade, your stitches, your roots, the signs of a life not just endured, but lived. The first frost arrives without ceremony. You wake before sunrise to find the edges of the world dusted in white, thin, delicate, almost beautiful. Frost clings to the grass like cobwebs spun by cold hands. It traces the curves of leaves, outlines stones, and sparkles faintly where moonlight still lingers. Your breath emerges in soft clouds as you sit up, and even beneath your hide, the chill has found its way to your skin. You hear no birds. The silence feels deeper than before. Even the trees seem to hold their breath. You move slowly, joints stiff, fingers reluctant to uncurl. The ground beneath you is hard now, the soil brittle. When you rise to feed the fire, your feet sting with cold through the thin soles of your moccasins, stitched hastily from hide, not yet worn in. Others are stirring too, but no one speaks. The cold speaks for everyone. Today, everything takes longer. The fire hesitates to catch. The dried moss crackles, but the flames are weak, coughing instead of roaring. You crouch beside the elder as he tends to it with a focus you've come to understand. Fire is not just warmth, it is time, energy, life condensed into light. When the flames finally rise, you stretch your hands toward them, wincing as warmth returns to your fingertips like a slow flood. Pain blooms briefly, then fades. The cold has teeth, and now it has drawn first blood. Breakfast is quieter than usual. Just broth today, thin, made from boiled root scraps and bone. It warms the stomach but not the spirit. You sip it slowly, cradling the bowl in both hands. Steam curls around your face. Across the fire, the woman with the ochre-painted cheeks sits with a bundle of damp hides in her lap. She rubs them with sand and fat, hands moving mechanically, rhythmically. You notice a change in her too. Less patience in her movements, more urgency. She's preparing for something, and then it's spoken. Winter. The word doesn't come from the elder, but from one of the younger hunters, the one with the long hair tied in a single braid. He says it softly, but everyone hears. He points upward toward the trees, where the last of the leaves hang limp, yellowed, clinging like stubborn memories. The word passes through the group like smoke. Winter. You don't know what that will mean here. Not fully. But already, your body understands what your mind does not. Hunger will come faster. Shelter must grow tighter. Everything will slow down, except the cold. That afternoon, work becomes a fever. A storm is not coming today. The sky is clear, pale, high, but the frost has changed everything. It has drawn a line, and now the days ahead are marked. You are sent with a gathering group, 3 women and a boy barely taller than your hip. You carry baskets on your back, strapped with twine across your chest. Your job is not to lead or choose or cut, it is to carry. The trees beyond the valley look different now. Their color has faded. Bark peels in places. The undergrowth has thinned. You can see further between trunks. Shadows are longer, sharper. The gathering is slow. Nuts mostly, hard shells that fall with sharp clicks. The boy is nimble, finding them beneath leaves, breaking them open with stones, checking for rot. He discards half, keeps only the best. You try to keep up. Occasionally, one of the women stops to strip bark from a sapling, not the outer layer, but the inner, pale and stringy. She twists it between her fingers, tastes it, then tucks it into a pouch. You mimic her once, and she doesn't stop you. Your basket fills with weight, not just food, but the weight of necessity. Before the sun begins to dip, you return. Camp is busy, a rhythm of motion, drying, wrapping, stitching, stacking. The hides are hung near the fire on wooden racks to dry. Bones are sorted by size, laid in neat rows. Fibers are twisted into cords. Children crack acorns with rocks and toss the empty shells into a heap. You are handed a stone and told to join them. You crack your first acorn too hard. It shatters. The second, more gently, splits clean. Inside, a pale seed, bitter smelling but rich. You learn quickly. Smash, split, sort, repeat. It is not work, it is survival. Later that night, a new fire is lit, not for warmth but for smoke. A shallow pit is dug and filled with wet grass and bark. Over it, a frame is built and meat is laid out to cure. Smoke rises slowly, curling around the meat in lazy spirals. It will keep the cold out. It will keep life in. You are told to sit beside it. Your job is to keep the smoke going through the night. No flame, just heat, just smolder. You are given a fur to wrap around your shoulders and a small pile of damp moss. Every hour, you feed it. Every few minutes, you check the coals. You do not sleep. The stars wheel overhead. The fire glows dull and steady. Somewhere far in the forest, a wolf howls. You do not flinch. You watch the meat. You tend the smoke. And when the sun finally touches the sky again, soft and pale as ash, you are still awake, still watching, still learning what it means to endure. You sleep during the day now, only for a little while, enough to let your body recover from the long hours spent at the smoke pit. But it is a new rhythm, unfamiliar, and it pulls at you like a tide. When you wake, the world is already in motion, and the light is already fading. The sun no longer lingers in the sky the way it once did. Its path is shorter, more reluctant, as if the sky itself is withdrawing. The cold has settled in, not sharp and sudden like before, but full, heavy. It wraps around everything now. Your breath curls in thicker clouds. The fire is no longer a comfort, it is a necessity. Everyone stays close to it. Movement is precise, economical, no effort wasted. Every step measured, every word counts. Even the children have grown quieter. You notice how they've begun to mimic the adults more completely now, fetching wood without being asked, scraping hides without complaint, learning how to tie knots with small, reddened fingers. Childhood here does not last long, but it is not mourned, it is simply transformed. This morning, if it can still be called that, you are given a different task. The elder himself comes to you and gestures with his hand, follow. You do quickly, grabbing your fur-lined wrap and flint blade. He leads you away from camp, up the eastern slope, into the woods. The sky is iron gray above the trees, and the forest feels still, like it's listening. He carries nothing in his hands. Just his staff, worn, polished by years of use, marked with small carvings that you've never had the courage to ask about. His steps are slow but sure. You stay a few paces behind, saying nothing. You've learned by now that silence is its own form of respect. You walk for nearly an hour. Then, without a word, he stops. Before you lies a small clearing. At its center, stones, arranged not by accident, but by design. A ring, tight and deliberate. In its center, a shallow depression, now filled with water from the recent frost melt. Around the ring, bits of bone, feathers. A single long braid of woven grass, stiff with age. A shrine. The elder steps into the ring, then kneels. He touches the earth with his palm, then lifts a feather and presses it to his forehead. You remain outside, unsure. He does not call you in, but he gestures, one hand extended, palm up. An invitation. You cross the threshold slowly. The stones crunch beneath your feet. The air inside the circle feels different, cooler, but not in temperature, in weight, in meaning. The trees around you sway gently, and the sky above seems vast. The elder points to a stone, flat, light-colored, streaked with red. He places a finger on it, then on his chest. You understand, this stone represents him. He points to another, smaller, darker, smoother, then gestures to the trees. He speaks a name, you don't recognize it, then another name, then another. With each, he touches a different stone, ancestors. The ring is not random, it is memory. You kneel beside him, slowly, hesitantly. He places a stone in your hand, not from the ring, but from a pouch at his belt. It is small, warm from his body, pale gray, veined with white. He taps your chest, then your forehead, then the center of the ring. You understand, it is for you. You place it gently among the others, not knowing what it means exactly, but knowing enough. The wind picks up slightly, stirring the feathers. Somewhere, a raven calls. The elder places a hand on your shoulder, no words, and then you walk back together. The fire is burning strong when you return. The others glance up but say nothing. They see the mark of ash on your forehead. They see the empty space at the elder's side. They understand. You have joined something unseen, not a tribe, not a role, something older, something carried through generations. A thread. You sit near the fire, holding the flint blade loosely in your hand. The heat soaks into your bones. The smell of smoke clings to your hair. The sky darkens. Snow begins to fall, not hard, but gently, like a whisper. The flakes melt as they touch the ground, vanishing before they can leave a trace. But you feel it. The breath of winter. The promise of cold not yet here, but certain. Later, before sleep, the woman with the ochre paint draws another line across your brow, this time with red clay. A diagonal mark. She nods once, then disappears into the shadows. You lie down beneath your hide. The earth is cold, but your place upon it feels earned. The snow doesn't fall hard, not yet, but it lingers now. It clings to the edges of branches, gathers in the crevices of stone, settles lightly on the hides draped across the shelters. It doesn't melt when it lands. It simply stays, silent, delicate, unassuming in its arrival. But everyone sees it. Everyone knows what it means. Winter is no longer a distant shape on the horizon. It is here. You wake to its breath on your face. The air inside the shelter is sharp, biting at your nostrils. The hide that covers you is damp with cold, heavy from the night's frost. The fire has burned low again, reduced to coals that pulse faintly like the last heartbeat of warmth. You sit up slowly, each movement stiff. Your hands fumble for your fur wrap before your mind is fully awake. There's no time to linger and sleep anymore. The others are already moving, quiet, deliberate, bundled in layers of tan skins and thickly woven grass. No one complains. No one talks about the cold. It is simply accepted, like the shape of the valley or the color of dusk. You do the same. Today's task is not hunting, not gathering. It is fortifying. Everything must be sealed, strengthened, secured. The shelters are patched with bundles of moss and tightly packed mud. Leaks are tested by dripping water along the seams, then marked and filled. Smoke holes are narrowed, their edges carefully reinforced with stones that retain heat. Hides are stitched into windbreaks, stretched between upright poles to guard against gusts. You're told to help the old woman with the braids. She rarely speaks, but her fingers are always moving. She guides you to the edge of the camp, where a shallow trench has been dug. A wall is being shaped from snow itself, compacted, shaped, curved to break the wind. Primitive, yet purposeful. Your job is to carry. Block after block, molded by hand, lifted from the cold earth, shaped with wooden frames. They stack them in a semicircle, building not height, but density. Protection from the northern wind, you work until your arms tremble. Not from exhaustion, from cold. The stones you carried before were heavy. The hides were thick. The meat was messy. But this is different. The cold robs you slowly, silently. It takes feeling from your fingertips, makes you slow, careless. You drop a block, it cracks, you apologize instinctively, but the woman just motions for another. No anger, just urgency. There's no room for mistakes now. Not because they are unforgivable, but because there's no time to forgive them. By midday, snow begins to fall again, heavier this time. The sky closes in, the air thick with white. Shapes begin to blur, trees, stones, even faces. You wrap your hands in extra leather, flex your fingers often, press them against your skin to keep the blood moving. Someone stumbles, a child, his foot caught on a buried root. His cries are muffled by the snowfall, but the response is immediate. A woman lifts him, another wraps him in a fur. A third checks his foot, presses her fingers around the ankle. You watch her expression, looking for signs. Not pain, not the boy's, her own. You see relief, he'll be fine. But you also see something else, fear, quickly masked. This is what winter does. A single misstep can lead to days of immobility. An exposed hand can mean a lost finger. A cough that lingers too long can mean death. Later, you are called to the drying racks. The meat that was smoked earlier in the season is now wrapped tightly in hide, sealed with hardened fat. These bundles are stored in a pit dug near the edge of camp, covered with straw, then snow. You help carry them, each one a precious weight. Food no longer feels like nourishment. It feels like time. Each bundle is a measure of how many days the group can endure. You count without meaning to. 6, 8, 10, maybe enough, maybe not. That night, the fires are fed constantly. A rotation of hands. You take your turn feeding dry moss, fanning with a woven mat, placing the long-burning logs split earlier in the season. The heat rises in short bursts, steam rising from your sleeves where snow had melted. The elder sits close. His eyes are half closed, but you know he isn't asleep. His hands rest in his lap, fingers wrapped loosely around a bone ornament, one you hadn't noticed before. It's carved with spirals, smooth from years of touch. He looks at you, says a word. You don't recognize it, but he repeats it slowly, then touches his chest. You say it back. He nods, satisfied. Another word, another lesson. This one he traces in the air with his finger, circular, like the path of the sun. Then he points to the sky, then the fire, then you. Your name again? Or something else? You don't ask. You simply remember. Words are not given quickly here, and when they are, they mean more than labels. They mean trust. The snow falls all through the night. By morning, the world will be white, but the fire will still be burning, and you will be there to tend it. The valley is silent beneath the snow, not the silence of absence, but of containment, as if the world has been folded inward, every sound cushioned, every echo caught midair and tucked into the whiteness. You step out from beneath the shelter, and the snow grips your ankles instantly, soft but weighty, like a hand pressing gently against your skin. The trees are ghosts now, their trunks blur into the gray sky, their limbs coated in powder, drooping under its weight. The stream is gone, its surface locked in ice, buried beneath drifts, its song muted. Even the smoke from the fires rises slowly, thick with moisture, curling in place instead of rising. You walk carefully. Every footstep is deliberate. The snow hides things, rocks, twigs, the edges of fire pits. A single misstep could mean a twisted ankle, a fall, a cracked bone. You've seen what happens when someone cannot move in this world. You remember the child yesterday, the look on the women's faces, the way a moment nearly unraveled a winter's worth of preparation. You carry a bundle of firewood across camp. Not much, just a few pieces, but each one dry, precious, saved from earlier days when gathering was still possible. The wood is light in color, stripped of bark, split thin. It will burn fast, but hot. It is for the inner fire, the one nearest the elders. As you pass, you notice the old woman, she of the ochre paint and silence, working at something new. A pouch, not large, but complex, stitched tightly with sinew, layered with hardened hide and lined with fur. Inside it, small items, dried herbs, chips of stone, bits of charred wood. She arranges them with care. You crouch beside her, not asking, only watching. After a while, she lifts one item, a black feather, long and curved, and holds it towards you. You hesitate, then take it. Its texture is smooth, cool, and the tip is marked with a ring of red pigment. She points to your neck, then to the pouch, then to the sky. A gesture, a thread of meaning, protection perhaps. You do not know, but you nod and she places the feather inside the pouch with the others. Later, you are called to the smoke tent. It's not much, a low structure of hides and bundled branches, anchored with stones and driftwood. Inside, it is dark, hot, close. A fire smolders in the center, and herbs have been tossed upon it, releasing a sharp, acrid scent that fills your lungs and stings your eyes. You are told to remove your outer layers. Your skin prickles with exposure. A woman, one you've never seen without her head covering, places ash on your shoulders. She speaks softly, in rhythm, not to you, but to the smoke. Another joins her, then a third. They circle you slowly, chanting in low tones, their hands sweeping through the air. It is not ceremony for beauty. It is for endurance. You close your eyes and let the smoke cover you. It seeps into your hair, your nose, your thoughts. You are no longer just a body here. You are a vessel. When you leave the tent, the cold bites hard, but you feel different. Like a layer of something invisible clings to your skin. Not armor, not heat, but resilience. The sky is already dimming again, a blue-gray ceiling descending toward the treetops. Shadows lengthen, fires are rekindled, hides are drawn tight. The night will be long again. You are sent to help seal the shelter entrances. The snow has built up along the western edge of camp. It packs against the hide walls, pressing inward. You help scoop it away, then press it deliberately into the gaps between stones. It freezes there, hard, unyielding, a seal against wind. Your hands go numb quickly. You switch to working with your wrists, your forearms, your elbows when you can. Another child beside you mimics you by copying your movements. Her cheeks are red, her breath fast, but she doesn't stop. The cold doesn't scare her. You wonder if it still scares you. That night, food is shared in silence. A thick stew, root, dried meat, bitter herbs, boiled until everything softens. It is ladled into clay bowls and passed hand to hand. You eat slowly, letting the heat settle deep. It is the kind of meal meant to last in the body, to stay warm long after the fire fades. The elder speaks once, just before sleep. He says only a few words, but everyone listens. Then someone else repeats them, then another. A kind of chorus, low, repeating. You do not know the meaning, but you join in anyway. The rhythm of the phrase settles into your chest like breath. It becomes part of the air, part of the fire, part of the snow itself. When the last voices fade, you curl beneath your hide. The world is still. Your body aches, but your place here is real. And the cold, though it still gnaws, no longer feels like a stranger. It feels like a test, one you are still taking, and one, somehow, you are learning to pass. By the 17th day of deep snow, time begins to stretch. Not in hours or days, but in rhythm. Long breaths, slow tasks, quiet repetition. The sun, when it appears at all, drags low across the sky like an old scar. Its light is weak, its warmth non-existent. Most mornings are gray, most afternoons pale, and every night arrives too soon. Inside the shelters, the air is heavy with smoke and breath and silence. You sleep more, though not from luxury. Your body demands it. It craves warmth, stillness, preservation. And when you're not sleeping, you work. You scrape, stitch, rub, melt, seal. Everything you do now is for the sake of staying warm, fed, and alive. And yet, it never feels like panic. There is no desperation here. Just the quiet clarity of people who have known this world longer than you've known your own reflection. They do not fear the cold. They respect it. You are still learning. Today you are asked to help prepare a marrow meal, not a stew. Something simpler, more direct. The elder brings you a long femur, cracked at one end, still slick with old blood. It belonged to the deer hunted before the snow thickened. The meat is gone, but the bones were saved. Inside them, richness, heat, life. You are given a stone blade and shown how to split them carefully. One strike, not too hard. A twist, not too fast. The crack must be clean, the halves even, the marrow undisturbed. It is delicate work, not smashing, not brute. Something like surgery. You fumble the first, split it too far, lose most of the marrow to the snow. No one scolds you, but no one smiles either. The next bone you split slowly, watching the elder's hands. His movements are smooth, honed by years of repetition. He speaks only once. 2 words, you do not know them, but you sense their shape. Patience and care. You get it right. The marrow is scooped out with a sliver of bone, mixed with ash and warm stones in a small vessel, then eaten by hand, fatty, rich, slightly bitter. Your mouth feels coated afterward, but your belly is full for hours. It stays with you, warming from the inside. Later, you help melt snow for water. It's a tedious task, gathering clean snow, heating stones near the fire, placing them in tightly bound bark vessels until the water steams. The snow melts quickly but vanishes fast too. You learn how much snow it takes to make a mouthful of water. Too much, the work never ends. Even thirst in the snow is cruelly ironic. Surrounded by it, yet still at its mercy. The children are quieter now too. They no longer play outside. Instead, they huddle together near the fire, drawing lines in the soot, practicing knots with strips of sinew, imitating the movements of the adults. One boy, barely walking, has taken to carrying a small stick on his shoulder like a spear. He copies the hunters when they stretch in the mornings, arms out, back straight. It is strange to feel joy here, but you do, in moments. A laugh shared between the women as they mend an old hide and it tears in the wrong place. A song hummed by one of the men as he sharpens a spear tip, slow and low. A smile from the girl with the sling when her fire starter sparks on the first try. Even in the cold, life refuses to stop. You begin to speak more, just small words. The ones you've learned, the ones you hear repeated. You point, gesture, ask without asking. And sometimes they correct you gently. Sometimes they nod. Sometimes they repeat your attempt, not to mock, but to reshape it. You are building a new language, not just of sound, of action, of silence, of rhythm. That night, a storm begins. Not a blizzard, but a true storm. The wind howls, the snow falls sideways, hissing like a whisper from a mouth too close. The shelters groan beneath the weight, and the fires must be fed constantly to stay lit. You take a shift during the darkest hours, watching the coals, feeding dry grass, shielding the flames with your body when the wind creeps in through the cracks. You do not sleep. You cannot. But you do not fear. In the middle of the storm, the elder sits beside you. He doesn't speak at first. He just watches the fire. Then he reaches into his cloak and draws out a small figure, carved from bone, worn smooth. It's shaped like an animal, a bear perhaps, or something older. Its eyes are hollowed. Its body is scarred with lines. He hands it to you. You hold it in your palms like it's warm, though it isn't. He says a name. You repeat it. He nods. A gift, then, or a promise. The fire flares briefly, crackling louder than before. The smoke rises and twists through the shelter like a spirit, then vanishes through the smoke hole. You place the figure inside your wrap, against your chest. And when the morning comes, bleak, silent, you are still awake. Still beside the fire, still holding on to something real. The storm leaves behind a different world. When the wind finally dies, when the snow stops falling sideways and settles gently like dust, the silence that follows is unlike anything you've heard before. It's thick, absolute, as if the forest itself has been stunned into stillness. Even your breath feels too loud. The valley is buried. Everything soft has disappeared. The trees have become pillars of white. The shelters are small mounds now, domes of snow and fur and smoke. Paths once worn into the dirt are gone. The stream, long frozen, has vanished under a thick crust of ice. Even the fire pit is nearly lost, just a thin wisp of smoke curling from beneath a snow-covered vent. Inside, you do not speak. You and 3 others spend the first hours of light digging out the fire. It survived the storm, barely. Shielded by careful design, kept alive by coals buried deep in ash. You nurse it back slowly, adding shavings of bark, dried moss, a sliver of fat. When it flares again, everyone exhales at once. The warmth it gives now feels more than physical. It is a defiance, a refusal to vanish beneath the snow. The rest of the day is spent unearthing. Shelters, tools, racks, the food pit. You dig with your hands first, then with sticks, then with flat pieces of bone. The snow is dense, packed hard by the weight of wind. It resists. Your muscles burn, your fingers ache, but you keep moving. Everyone does. There is no choice. Even the elder works. He digs with calm precision, focused not on speed, but on rhythm. One scoop, one pause. One scoop, one pause. He hums something under his breath, a melody that matches his movement. You find yourself matching him. Scoop, pause, pause. The snow begins to feel like memory, layered, cold, weighty. By nightfall, the essentials have been found. The drying racks are intact. The food pit is safe. Some of the outer shelters are damaged, but repairable. A few poles snapped under the weight, but no one is hurt. Somehow that matters most. The group is tired, sore, cold, but together. That night, dinner is sparse. Thin broth, shavings of smoked meat, boiled bark, but no one complains. They sit close, backs to the fire, eyes half-lidded. Sleep hovers near the surface. No stories are told, no songs are sung. Only the sound of the wind far above brushing softly against the tops of trees. You lie on your side, hands tucked under your arms. The bone figure, your carved gift, rests near your chest. You touch it once before sleep. Its shape is comforting, familiar. It feels like it belongs here, like you do. The next day the world glitters. The sun breaks through the gray, pale and low but bright. The snow reflects it with such brilliance that your eyes hurt, your head pounds. You're given a strip of hide to tie around your brow, a narrow slit cut across it for your eyes. It helps, a little. Today, your task is to scout the ridges, not to hunt. There is little to find in the snow this deep, but to look, to read the land. The elder sends you with the young man who walks with a limp and the woman who never speaks above a whisper. She carries a curved blade at her belt. He carries nothing but a staff. You carry a sling of dried meat, a bone knife, and a pouch of stone chips. You walk in single file. Breaking trail is hard. The snow comes to your thigh in places. The man ahead uses his staff to probe the ground, checking for hidden roots, buried holes. The woman behind you watches the trees. She moves like shadow, fluid, constant, unseen. The climb to the ridge is slow, but at the top you can see everything. The valley like a bowl of white, the trees black spears, the camp a cluster of smoke and shape, and beyond hills, distant, pale, endless. The man points to the east. There a disturbance, animal tracks, wide and shallow, not deer, too round, too dragging. The woman crouches, runs her fingers along the print. She touches the center with one finger, then looks up. Her eyes narrow. She says a word, not one you know, but the shape of it is like warning. You do not ask. You remember. The cat. Perhaps something else. She marks the tree beside the trail with a chip of ochre from her pouch. Then she nods. Downward, back to camp. When you return, the light is fading again. The sun never climbed high today. It merely passed across the edge of the sky and now sinks again, tired. You report to the elder. He listens, asks only one question. She answers with a word you did not know. His eyes close. Then he nods. No panic, no plan, just knowledge, just preparation. That night, there is more meat in the pot. Not much. A few strips saved from before. It's shared evenly, ladled in silence. Everyone eats slowly, savoring it. One of the children asks for more. His mother shakes her head gently. Later, the wind returns, not wild this time, just cold. Thin, sharp as flint, it whispers through the cracks. You sleep facing the fire, your hands wrapped in fur, the bone figure beneath your chin. You dream of snow that never stops, but you also dream of the fire, of hands feeding it, one after another through the long night. And you know you will wake, and you will be one of those hands. The valley has changed. What was once movement has become stillness. Not the peaceful stillness of rest, but the hard, frozen kind that settles over everything with a quiet finality. The snow no longer falls often, but it no longer melts either. It stays, layered and wind sculpted, shaped by cold and time into ridges and hollows that shift the landscape entirely. Paths have vanished. Hills have flattened. Even the trees feel distant now, trunks half buried, their limbs skeletal against the dim sky. And the silence, it's deeper than ever. Inside the shelter, the fire is low but steady. You lie beneath your hide, half awake, listening to the soft breathing of the others. In this world, you've learned to recognize people by sound, by the way they breathe and sleep, by the rhythm of their steps, by the scrape of their fingers across bone and bark. The elder is already awake. He sits cross-legged near the fire, slowly rolling a piece of hide between his hands. You don't speak, you don't move, but he knows you're awake. His eyes flick towards you once. He nods. It's time. You rise, wrap yourself in fur, tuck the carved bone figure into your belt, and follow him out into the gray morning. The snow crunches beneath your feet, but only just. It's packed now, hardened. The top layer glistens with frost. He leads you past the shelters, past the food pit, and into the trees. The others are still inside. This is not a group task. You're not sure where you're going, but your feet follow. Eventually, the elder stops in a narrow clearing, barely wider than the length of two bodies laid head to toe. The trees here are thin, their bark a pale, papery gray. Snow clings to their trunks like old breath. At the base of one tree is a low stone, partially buried. He clears the snow from it slowly with his hand, exposing a smooth, flat surface. On the stone, a symbol, carved shallow, worn by wind and time. You recognize the curve of it, the same as the one he drew in the air weeks ago, the one he said when he handed you the bone figure. Now he traces it again with a fingertip dusted in ash from his pouch. Then he kneels and begins to speak. It is not a chant, not a story, a memory perhaps. His voice is low, slow, each word held like a piece of flint, something hard, shaped, ancient. You understand nothing, yet everything. The tone is reverent, gentle, unbroken. He speaks for a long time. When he finishes, he presses his palm to the stone. Then he looks to you and waits. You kneel beside him. He doesn't guide you, doesn't correct you. He lets you decide. Your hand reaches for the stone. You hesitate. Then press your palm flat against its cold surface. It is colder than anything else you've touched. Not just from the air, but from time. But beneath that cold is something else, something deep. A hum, almost. Or maybe it's only your blood pounding in your ears. When you pull your hand away, the elder places a small stone in the center of the carving, not to mark it, to complete it. Then he stands, and you return together. No words spoken, none needed. Back in camp, the others are beginning to stir. One of the women is stoking the fire, her hands quick despite the cold. The boy who mimics the hunters now wears a piece of cord tied around his head like a band. He sits by the food pit, sorting roots from bark, whispering to himself as he works. The storm has not returned, but the air carries tension. You feel it in the way everyone moves, in the way they glance toward the ridgelines, toward the forest beyond. Something is near, not danger exactly, but change, and it comes at dusk. The first cry is from one of the scouts, sharp, short, not alarm but signal. The elder rises. So does everyone else. No panic, only readiness. You follow them to the edge of camp where the snow has been trampled, deep grooves, long trails. Visitors. Figures appear on the ridge, 3 of them. They move slowly, wrapped in cloaks of fur and bark. Their faces are obscured. They carry spears, but not raised. Their bodies sway slightly with exhaustion. Behind them, dragged across the snow on a hide sled, is something heavy, meat. You recognize none of them, but the elder steps forward, speaks a word. One of them replies. It is brief. Then hands are raised, palms open, neutral, not greeting, not surrender. Recognition. They are known. All 3 are led into the camp. Their sled is left at the edge, others move to retrieve it. 2 men, a woman, the young boy with the band on his head. They carry the meat slowly, reverently, as if carrying a sleeping animal. You help. The meat is frozen, but still fresh. Strips of muscle, fat, hide still intact. Likely elk. Maybe bison. Inside the main shelter, firelight grows again. The guests sit near it, saying little. They are not strangers, but they are not home either. Gifts are shared. A pouch of dried mushrooms, a blade made of black stone, a handful of blue berries, shriveled but fragrant. In return, they are given marrow, warmth, broth. One of them sees your bone figure, points to it, says a word. You repeat it. He smiles, nods, and for the first time you realize that figure doesn't belong to just your group. It belongs to something wider, older, a thread that binds more than one fire, more than one camp, a thread woven through snow and smoke and silence. You sit with them as the stars appear, and you feel not just included, but inherited. The guests stay for 2 days. They sleep near the outer fire, nestled in furs that smell of other places, pine not from this valley, smoke with a different character, heavier, more resonance. Their movements are slower than the others, not from weakness, but from the weight of travel. Their eyes always seem to be watching, measuring, remembering. You learn quickly that they are not a threat. They are kin, not by blood perhaps, but by a deeper bond, one born of shared land, shared cold, shared silence. They speak in the same language, but with a different melody. Their words roll slower, their sentences fall with softer endings. Still, the others understand. Stories are exchanged without hesitation, laughter shared between strangers who remember the same river, the same tree, the same winter from seasons long past. And the most surprising thing, they remember you. Not your face, not your voice, but your name, the one given to you here. They say it gently, as if tasting it. They look at you not with suspicion, but with quiet recognition. One of them, a woman with a curved scar along her jaw, leans close to you near the fire and speaks slowly. She points to your hands, then to your belt where the bone figure hangs. Then she nods. You are not unknown. You are part of the story now. You belong to more than this camp. The second morning you wake before the others. The sky is a dark, endless canvas, still caught in the tail of night. A few stars blink down like half-closed eyes. The air is so cold it aches, but you rise anyway, drawn not by urgency, but by stillness. You walk to the edge of the trees where the snow lies undisturbed. There, under a tall old pine, one of the guests is already awake. He kneels beside a tree stump, hands cupped, eyes closed. You do not speak, but he opens one eye, sees you, and gestures gently for you to sit. You dither. You watch as the first hint of color touches the sky. Just a breath of pale rose across the eastern edge. Nothing more, but enough. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he begins to speak. Not in his dialect, not in yours. Something older, a song perhaps. You don't understand it, but it moves through the snow like a shadow. Slow, steady, low. A rhythm older than language. A call to something that lies not in the sky or trees, but beneath, within. When he finishes, he presses his palm to the snow-covered ground, then stands and walks away, leaving you with the song still curling in the air around you. You return to the camp changed, though you could not say why. Later that day, the elders meet. Not just your own, but the 3 guests as well. They sit in a tight circle, exchanging few words. Stones are placed in the center, tokens of direction, of travel, of places seen. Each elder places theirs with care. The girl with the sling watches too, from behind the hides, silent. You are allowed to sit near the edge. You don't speak, you don't lean in, but you listen, and you understand enough. A decision is being made, about movement, about timing, about what comes after the snow softens, when rivers wake and trails reappear. It is not soon. But it is being prepared. The guests will leave tomorrow, taking news with them, carrying stories of survival, of another fire that still burns. And when spring comes, and it will come, no matter how long the winter pretends otherwise, they may return, or others will. And you now will be someone they remember. That night before sleep, the scarred woman offers you a small gift, a bundle wrapped in reed. Inside, dried root, crushed moss, and a bit of black stone, for trade, she says, or for use. She shows you how to grind the root with the moss, how to smear the mixture along a cut, protection, healing. You thank her in her own words. She smiles. Before they leave, the guests mark the stone slab, not to alter it, to add to it, a new mark beside the others. You help pack their sleds. You watch them disappear beyond the ridge, and as they vanish, something settles in you. You are no longer a visitor in this world. You are part of its memory. The snow shifts. It's subtle at first. No sudden melt, no storm. Just the way it crunches differently underfoot, the way it no longer clings to your legs as deeply when you walk. The cold is still sharp, still present in your lungs and fingertips, but it bites with less certainty, like it knows it's losing its grip. The wind no longer howls. Now it whispers. Each morning feels slightly softer. The smoke from the fires rises more freely. And once, just after dawn, you hear something you haven't heard in weeks. Water. Faint, beneath the ice, deep under the thick crust where the stream once sang. It's waking up, and so is everything else. The pace in camp begins to change. Work doesn't stop. If anything, it becomes more precise. But the rhythm changes. The long, quiet patience of deep winter gives way to something tighter, something focused. The scouts speak more. The hunters stretch longer near the fire. Hides are inspected, mended with fresh care. Spears are checked, tools sharpened again, not for defense, for movement. The elder calls you early before light and leads you to the high ridge again. You don't ask why. You just follow. The air is clearer now. The snow sparkles beneath the faintest sheen of morning frost. You walk in silence through a world still painted in white, but less heavy, less absolute. At the ridge, he stops and points. Not at anything in particular, just outward. He waits. You look, and after a long moment, you begin to understand. The world has always extended far beyond this valley, beyond this winter. The horizon is no longer something to fear. It's something to move toward. Not now, not today, but soon. The elder speaks, only one word, but it is not a warning. It is a beginning. You say it back to him, slow and careful. He places his hand on your shoulder briefly, then walks away, leaving you standing at the edge of a world no longer closed. That afternoon, the girl with the sling begins to practice again. Out in the open snow, where drifts have been cleared and targets are arranged from bundles of straw and bark, she stands in silence, a pouch of stones at her hip. She turns her body sideways, winds the sling, releases. The sound is sharp, air splitting. The stone strikes the target with a dull thud. She doesn't smile. She only picks another. You join her. At first, she says nothing, but she hands you a stone, then shows you again how to hold the sling, how to twist your wrist, not your shoulder, how to aim without looking directly at what you want to hit. You try. Your first stone misses entirely. She does not laugh. She only hands you another. By your fifth attempt, you hit the edge. By the 10th, you strike center. She nods once, and you understand this is not about hunting, not just. It is about readiness, for the thaw, for what comes next, for travel, for change. In the evening, the elders gather again, not for a story, for planning. A line is drawn in the snow near the fire, then a series of marks, trails, rivers, camps. The elder gestures to one, then to another, then to the sky. You listen, seated with the others, catching only pieces of meaning. But the pattern is clear. Spring will bring movement, and you will move with them. That night, you lie awake, eyes open beneath the hide. The stars above are sharp again, the air no longer thick with storm. You feel the earth beneath you, not as a place of shelter, but as a path. Your hands are calloused now, your breath steady. The bone figure hangs beside you, worn smooth from being handled night after night. You reach for it, but instead of pressing it to your chest, you hold it out, away from you, toward the fire. And for the first time, you say its name aloud. Not a whisper, not a question, a statement. And the fire crackles in response. Outside, a wind rises, not cold, not warm, just clean. And in the space between darkness and dawn, you begin to dream of walking, not running, not fleeing, walking forward through melting snow, past bare trees, beneath a sky that no longer weighs you down. You dream of not surviving, but going. The first drip echoes like a heartbeat. It falls from the end of a branch outside your shelter, sharp, sudden, and unmistakable. Not snow sliding, not frost cracking. Water, a single drop, but enough. You hear it before you see it, then another, then two at once. A soft, persistent rhythm tapping on bark and hide and stone. You step outside and the world looks the same, but it smells different. The scent of thaw, of old snow giving way to the earth beneath it, of wood, wet and exposed, of soil still too frozen to yield, but no longer unreachable. The scent stirs something in you that has been asleep, something beneath survival. Not hope exactly, but motion. The elder stands near the fire pit, his arms folded across his chest, his breath rising in thin wisps. He does not speak. He simply looks to the trees, to the sky. The others begin to gather without needing to be called. The air is cool, still sharp enough to bite skin left uncovered too long. But no longer cutting, no longer brutal. Children emerge without layers. Hands are bare again. One of the women unrolls a mat made of reeds and lays it on the flattened snow beside the fire, spreading tools across its surface. Needles, stones, sinew, a single curved bone blade. Spring is not here, but it is near, and must be welcome. Work begins immediately, not for warmth, but for movement. You are sent to the ridge trail with two others, the quiet man with the crooked nose, and a boy still new to walking through snow without falling. Your job is not to gather, not to hunt, but to check the trail, to feel the earth beneath the snow. You walk in a line, feet careful, not from fear, but from respect. The drifts are thinner now, but the land underneath is unpredictable. You press with your staff before each step. You test the edges of the path. You mark places where the snow sinks too deep or where the ice is black with hidden water. At the top, the view has changed. Not visibly, but you feel it. The air is less dense. The hills in the distance seem less far. And for the first time, birds return, small black ones, cutting the air in crooked shapes. They call sharply, as if clearing space for themselves again. One lands near you, hops once, pecks the ground, then vanishes into the sky. You stay for a while, not watching, listening. The land is speaking again. The kind of language that doesn't come in words, but in rhythms. Cracks in the ice, the shift of roots beneath snow, the ache of wood as it begins to drink again. When you return, the camp is busy with the quiet motion of preparation. Sleds are being repaired. Ropes are woven tighter, pouches emptied, cleaned, refilled. Old meat sorted, bones inspected, nothing wasted. You are given a different task. You are to take inventory, not on paper, not with numbers, but with touch. One of the elders, an older woman with a voice like wind over stone, leads you to the storage pit. You crawl inside, feeling the walls, touching the bundles, unwrapping one by one. Root, fat, salted meat, dried berries. She watches how you handle each one. You say their names aloud, what you know, what you've learned. When you falter, she corrects you, not unkindly. By the end, you know each bundle not by label, but by weight, by smell, by memory. That night, the final winter stew is made. It includes the last of the oldest meat, the hardest root, bits of dried skin and marrow, a dark, thick broth that clings to your lips. Everyone eats around the fire, not fast, not greedy, slowly, reverently. This is not just a meal, it is a farewell to the deep cold, to the nights where stories were shorter and sleep was deeper. When the bowls are empty, the elder speaks again. But this time the story is short. He holds a piece of charcoal in his hand, blackened from the fire, and draws a line on the stone beside the main pit. Not a picture, just a mark, a record of the passing, a notch of time. Everyone watches, no one interrupts. Afterward, there is no celebration, just silence. And then the fire is allowed to burn low. When you sleep that night, you wake once to the sound of ice shifting. It comes from the stream, a low, groaning sound like something ancient rising from sleep. You listen with your eyes closed, and in the darkness, you feel it again. Not warmth, but movement. The stream breaks open on the 23rd morning. Not in a sudden burst, not in a torrent, but in a long, drawn-out sigh. A crack forms in the center of the ice, thin and trembling. At first, it is only a hairline, winding through the white like a whisper. Then, as the sun rises, pale and watery but steady, the line widens. Water pushes through, just a thread, just enough to catch the light. You are there when it happens, so are the others. Not by accident, it is known. The time when water returns is not a moment to be missed. You stand in a loose circle around the edge of the stream, where snow has been cleared away, revealing the glassy top of the frozen current. Everyone watches, no one speaks. A child tries to step closer but is gently pulled back. The elder stands at the front. His hand is filled with ash and dried grass. He kneels beside the crack. Then he waits. The first sound comes like a pop, then a groan, then a long, curling creak that travels beneath your feet. The ice moves. The elder leans forward and places the offering, ash and grass, onto the surface. It sits there for a breath, then vanishes, pulled down by the trembling current that is no longer asleep. A ripple forms, just a small one, just a kiss against the shore, but it is enough. The circle disperses without a word. There is no ritual to follow, no songs, no chants, just the silent recognition that something sacred has occurred. The land has returned to itself, and the people must respond in kind. Work resumes with new intention, not to survive, but to depart. The days ahead are no longer abstract. They are named now, counted, measured in steps and bundles and meals. Every action is preparation. You help carry the sleds from where they were buried beneath thick snow. They are dug free, scraped clean, inspected. The bindings are checked, retied with new cord, strips of hide soaked and woven and tested for tension. The runners are rubbed with fat and ash to keep them from freezing again. Clothing is repaired. Fur is patched with fur. Holes are closed with bone needles. Even tools are rewrapped. Stone blades given fresh leather grips, spears rebalanced, bowstrings dried and tightened. You are given your own bundle to pack. It is not a sign. It is simply left beside your shelter, waiting for you. Inside, a folded fur cloak, a pouch of dried meat, 2 pieces of stone, a flint striker, and a length of rope. No one tells you what to do with it, but you know. You begin to prepare your load. That night, around the fire, there is no feast, no laughter, but something new emerges. Voices, not stories from the past, plans for the future. The elder speaks of the trail north, one that leads past the high pass and into the forest where berries grow in thick clusters, where rivers cross over themselves, where fish return in swarms. Another hunter speaks of the low trail, longer but easier, flatter, more certain. They debate, quietly, with few words, no argument, just consideration. Others offer memories. This trail led to a flood. That pass collapsed last thaw. The forest path was blocked by fallen trees 2 seasons ago. It's not a decision made in haste. It's a conversation that unfolds like everything here, with patience, with care. You listen, you learn, you do not speak, but you are included. And when the fire dies low and only the coals remain, you feel the shift again, not in the camp, in yourself. A strange emotion begins to take shape, not fear, not even hope, but longing. To go, to see the trail, to move again, not away from something, but toward. In the early morning, before the others wake, you return to the stream. The crack is wider now. Water moves beneath it freely, slow but alive, gleaming like dark glass. You kneel, press your palm to the wet stone at the bank, and feel the cold against your skin. It no longer stings, it welcomes. From the corner of your eye, a bird lifts from the trees, wings black, body lean. It does not circle, it flies forward. Its shadow crosses the water. You do not rise right away. You stay still, fingers wet, breath slow. And you understand that the world beyond the valley is not waiting. It is calling, and soon you will answer. The last morning arrives without fanfare. There is no announcement, no sudden shift in the sky. The sun rises just as it has for days, soft, pale, barely warm. But something in the air has changed. It moves through camp like a silent drumbeat. You feel it in every motion, every glance, every tightened cord and hoisted bundle. The time has come. Departure. You wake early before the stirrings of others and sit by the fire pit that's now burned low again. Not because of neglect, but because it no longer needs to burn high. The fire kept you through the dark, through the storms, through the silence. Now it offers only enough to warm your fingers one last time. You're dressed for travel, layers bound tight, slings secured across your chest, your bone blade at your side. Your bundle is tied and ready, tools, food, water pouch, cloak, fire starter, the carved bone figure wrapped in fur. It feels both light and full, like memory. The others begin to rise, but no one rushes. Everything happens with the steady patience of a people who understand that movement is not an event. It's a process, a return. The end of stillness, not the end of peace. The elder stands by the main shelter, speaking with the woman of the ochre cheeks. His voice is low but calm. You catch fragments, a direction, a date, a river. She nods. She will stay behind with two others, an older man and a young mother with a newborn. Not everyone travels at once. The land has its own pace. Some leave early, some late, some return, some do not. You help carry the sleds to the ridgeline. They glide easily now. Snow melted just enough to allow movement without sinking. The first sled is led by the quiet man with the crooked nose. He doesn't look back as he walks. He knows the way. The girl with the sling stands beside you. She has a new band wrapped around her arm, tightly woven bark, dyed with dark streaks of berry, a mark of passage, of readiness. She hands you one, silently. You tie it on. When the last of the bundles is loaded and the final bowl of broth shared, the elder moves to the center of camp. He places a hand on the fire's stone rim, then traces a circle around it in the snow, a final gesture. Then he turns to the path and begins to walk. No speeches, no farewells, only motion. You follow. The trail out of the valley rises slowly, weaving through the thinning trees. As you climb, the camp recedes behind you. Stone shelters now low and white again, smoke curling lazily upward for the last time this season. You do not look back often, but when you do, the valley already looks smaller, not less important, just finished, like a chapter. Ahead, the snow grows thinner. Patches of brown earth emerge, dotted with early green. Meltwater runs in quiet trickles beside the path. The sun has not grown stronger, but the world is beginning to respond to its persistence, and so are you. Hours pass. The group moves in long, quiet lines, sleds trailing, spears strapped, baskets bouncing gently with each step. Occasionally someone speaks, a word of warning, a quick signal, a check on the trail. But mostly, there is only breath, footsteps, the steady rhythm of returning to movement. Near the crest of the ridge, the elder stops. He raises one hand. Everyone slows. You climb the final steps and see it. The world beyond, no longer buried in snow, forests in bloom, a distant river winding like a silver thread through open fields, smoke rising from another camp far in the east, and overhead birds, dark, circling, calling, not predators, not omens, messengers. The elder steps aside. You step forward. The bone figure hangs from your side, warmed now by days of sun and breath. Your hands are no longer soft. Your eyes no longer wander. You have learned the weight of stillness, the truth of silence, the patience of fire. And now you will learn the world in motion, step by step, not as someone dropped into a world not meant for them, but as someone who rose in it, endured it, belonged to it. You walk forward into the thaw,